Australia, a land of contrasts, perfect sunrises, dramatic coastlines, waterfalls that drop over 100 metres, quirky towns, beautiful rivers, and plenty of opportunity for photo shoots. River crossings and rugged tracks and dramatic cliffs with perfect sunsets and cute creatures. Join us as we begin our adventure going east to west across Australia. About 11 years ago we left Steep Point, the westernmost point in Australia, and headed east in our Land Rover. The very remote Anbidale Highway that runs between Laverton and Coober Pedy was a highlight of the trip. We saw one car in 5 days. From there we went on the Oodnadatta track across to Farina. A couple of months later we arrived in Byron Bay, the most easterly point of the Australian mainland. This time we are taking our Unimog going west from Byron Bay through the middle to Steep Point. It's late in the year to be travelling, so our route will be flexible. It will depend on the weather and road closures. We are hoping to cross the Simpson Desert to get to Alice Springs. We left early so we could be in Byron Bay for sunrise, a perfect way to start the trip. We parked at Watergoes Beach. We walked along the path out onto the rocks to the spot we had done the last photo shoot on our last trip. We missed the sunrise but got a lucky break when the sun broke through the clouds, and we were able to do our first photo shoot of this trip. It's a spectacular rocky coastline. The rock formations are amazing but very sharp. We had to be very careful walking over them. We then walked up the path, stopping for the obligatory photo at the most easterly point of the Australian mainland, then continued on towards the lighthouse. The lighthouse is one of the most visited light stations in Australia. It is a working lighthouse, initially manned by a keeper, but now it's fully automated. Completed in 1901, it was built to protect ships from the rugged coastline. Before this, there were numerous shipwrecks. We walked back down the boardwalk hoping to see some whales. We were out of luck. There were plenty of surfers. And the waves were rarely crowded sometimes. We then drove through Byron towards the foreshore. It is a major tourist destination, one of Australia's most well-known beach towns, and some very cool street art, a great place for photos. There is a mixture of shops, from the well-known brands to the more quirky. Byron is one of our favourite places and we visit here often. This is our favourite fish and chip shop. The foreshore is very busy and parking is a premium even midweek. We were lucky to get this spot. We spent some time on the beach swimming and taking photos. There was a queue for our parking space. It doesn't help when people don't park properly. Byron was too expensive. There's no free camping anywhere with big fines, so we went further south. We stayed at Broken Head Caravan Park, a fantastic spot right on the beach. The next day we were up early again, hoping to do some more sunrise photos. However, it's a very popular surfing beach, so we couldn't. We spent the time taking photos of the surfers at sunrise instead. Later we decided to head down the coast a bit to 7 Mile Beach. It was a beautiful beach. Apart from a couple of surfers and some fishermen that turned up later, we had the beach to ourselves. I couldn't resist the last beach photo shoot until we get to the west coast. The following morning we left the coast and started our drive inland to Minion Falls in Nightcap National Park. It's a very pretty drive through lush subtropical rainforest. The road is quite tight in some places. It's a short walk from the car park to the lookout at the top of the falls. After seeing how beautiful it was, we decided to walk to the base of the falls. It was only a few kilometers, but got a bit tricky towards the end, when we had to climb over some pretty big rocks. It was absolutely worth it though. The falls flow over a rhyolite cliff and drop about 100 meters into a small lake. And we just couldn't resist. On the walk out, we encountered some of the local residents, a very healthy carpet python lying down the embankment. A rather large monitor lizard that decided to make his way onto the path. Luckily he didn't hang around though. After Minion Falls, we visited another very well-known town called Nimbin. The Nimbin we know today came about after the Aquarius Festival was held there in 1973. There was an influx of people embracing an alternative lifestyle. The town thrived and has retained its hippie roots. A remarkable place, with art and colour on nearly every building. After a chat to some of the locals and a few purchases, we left to drive to the border of Queensland and New South Wales. We then drove on to Andrew Drynan Park campground for the night. It's a really large campground right next to a river. Next morning we went for a walk. The river was so beautiful. We spent time doing another photo shoot before leaving to head west through the Condamine River Gorge. The Condamine River Gorge crosses the river 13 times. The Condamine River is part of the Murray-Darling Basin and is a tributary of the Darling River that flows west. It's hard to believe that water originating in southern Queensland could end up 2,000 kilometres away in the sea in South Australia. It was originally four-wheel drive only, but now many of the crossings have been concreted. It's a fun drive though, through very pretty country. We continue to a place we have always wanted to go, Sundown National Park. The road is very steep and rocky, definitely four-wheel drive only in some places. We seem to catch a lot of low-hanging branches on the way in. We stayed at Red Rock Campground, which has plenty of space. It's very basic though, the only facility being a long drop toilet. The gorge is a short walk from the campground. The cliffs are actually a sand-coloured granite, formed by molten lava millions of years ago. The red colour is a result of the lichen growing on them and staining them. It was overcast the first day. We were treated to a magnificent sunset on the second day. A great time for a photo shoot. morning we were leaving, it was foggy and cold when we woke up. It made for some very dramatic drone footage. We had some visitors that morning. This cute wallaby was happily munching on leaves when this grey kangaroo turned up. He decided he wanted the same leaves and scared the wallaby away. Half an hour later, another wallaby turned up. Her little passenger decided leaves were not for him. Milk in Mama's pouch was much better. We had hoped to go to some of the other places further in, but rain was predicted, so we decided it was time to leave. Leaving our cute visitors behind, we headed out and made it just before it started to rain. I didn't even get wet opening the gate. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to follow us as we continue on our journey west.